Okay, we're live. I'm setting up my camera. Hopefully you can all see it. I hit live before I was supposed to hit live, but never mind. Okay, we're on. We've got like 15 minutes to go. We're up early. So I'm just going to play around with my camera for a minute. Can you just let me know if I'm in shot? Just come and stand it. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. Good news is, I finally got granted my, apparently I'm not in shot. Apparently I'm not in shot, but I'm here now. So I finally got granted my ability to use the YouTube Live app to actually go live, or the YouTube app to go live even, which a few of you guys a few weeks ago subscribed to me to help me get to that 1,000 limit. It took nearly 3 weeks for them to actually allow it to happen, but we're here. So bear with me while I sort the phone out, because I'm not used to doing it with the phone. We're going to kick off in 10 minutes time. We're rolling now so people can get ready. Get all your stuff together. We're going to make some noodles today, which I've been making loads of recently. I absolutely love my own fresh noodles. It's so much better than shop bought stuff. Amazing. On Friday we're going to make a lasagna, and you can use the exact same mix to make your lasagna sheets as well if you want to. So that's going to be interesting if you've never made fresh pasta before. Very, very similar. It's going to work exactly the same way. Obviously it's going to be rolled out completely differently. I'm going to show you how to chop these into noodles and stretch them and all the rest of it today. But if you want to make your own pasta, then this Friday make exactly the same mix up as we're making today, and then I'll show you how to make that into a lasagna on Friday. I'm going to continue to mess around with my camera, so I haven't got to kneel down for the whole of this. So hold fire and we'll be kicking off in 10 minutes time. Hopefully that is a little bit better. Can you see me now? Say yes. Thanks, hope you can. Hold on, we've got somebody to check. Are we in? Losing the afro? We're on, we're in. Excellent, cool. Right, so get your stuff together. You're going to need 250 grams of pasta flour, or just plain flour, or bread flour. That'll be absolutely fine. You can even use plain flour. I think I put plain flour on the list. Any white flour that's not self-raising will be absolutely great. You need a couple of eggs. You need a little bit of water and some salt, and that's it to make your noodles. And then I've pretty much said it's going to be whatever you've got in the house. Now, we've just had a bank holiday weekend. We're not supposed to be going out shopping to buy ingredients, so I hope nobody's gone out specifically to buy the stuff that I said, because I did say in my list just to try and use up what you got. So for me, I've got some skirt steak, which is super lean beef, because I'm trying to lose a few pounds at the moment. I've got cabbage. I've got some, I've got a carrot, some mushrooms, purple sprouting broccoli, which is banging season at the moment and absolutely delicious, stir fries really well. I didn't have any spring onions, so I'm going to utilise a leek, which is of the same family. So we're going to use a bit of leek in there. I've got some cashew nuts as well. And then I plan to marinate that beef in some toasted sesame oil, some sesame seeds. I've got some Szechuan pepper, some black pepper, and a little bit of salt. And I'm going to show you how to slice this beef as well, because there's a specific way. Using skirt, you probably won't find it. Sometimes you find it in Morrison's, but generally you want to go to your butcher's for it. It's not a cut that you find in supermarkets very often, but your butcher will do it, and they do it at stewing steak prices, so it's like the cheapest bit of steak ever. Absolutely delicious if you know how to handle it. If you cook it and slice it, more importantly, with the grain, then it's going to be really tough, yeah? But I'm going to show you how to slice it against the grain into nice thin little ribbons. It makes a perfect kind of beef to go into any kind of stir fry. I've run out of coriander, so I'm going to go with some of the Vietnamese influence that I've had on my travels over the years of like eating this kind of food, and use some freshly picked mint from the garden as well. So if you've got herbs, stuff out in the garden, go grab them, get whatever you can together. I haven't got any ginger, I'm going to use some garlic. I've just realised I forgot my chilli, so I'm going to grab some chilies. Just get anything that you've got in your fridges that's healthy, and we're going to make a wicked little stir fry, and hopefully everybody's will be slightly different, and you know, you can share that and I can see what you've got up to. I love to see everything that you've made in the past. You know, people are sending me pictures all the time. Great to see that people are hopping on to check this out after it's gone live as well. I realise it's not necessarily the best time of day, but I'm doing it for the benefit of the young people who I work with, who have probably been sat around all day bored waiting to to jump on this. So this is why we're on at 4:30, but great that you're coming on later. Same again, you know, lucky for you, you can skip forward to this extra sort of 5 minutes that we've got if you're watching later on. If you sat there live watching me now, then thank you, bear with me. 5 minutes to go. As I say, started rolling a little bit early just because we've got finally running this off my phone. I hope the quality is better. I'm more than aware, people have messaged me and sort of told me that the quality's not been great. Unfortunately, up until today, I've been working off a very old laptop and just the camera on that, which has meant that the picture quality has not been great. Hopefully my phone is an awful lot better, so this will be a much better experience for you, but it has meant that I've had to work out how to get it all in shot and stuff, so wasting a little bit of time. But 5 minutes, I'm going to grab my chilli, I'm going to wash my hands as well, and then jump back on in a couple of minutes. Get yourselves ready. Chilli. Five minutes to go, guys. If you're just tuning in now, the other ones just jumped on, thank you. 5 minutes to go to the off. Hope you've got everything ready. This one's going to take a little bit longer maybe than some others, just because when we make these, the noodles don't take particularly long to make, but they do need to rest. Normally I rest them for half an hour in the fridge. I'm going to try and turbocharge that by chucking them in the freezer for sort of 15 minutes. I would recommend that you guys probably just do the first bit with me, because the stir fry bit's easy, to be fair, and then watch what I do with the meat and stuff, but then maybe leave your noodles for a little bit longer than I do. I'm just going to try and rush you through it, just because I don't want to keep you on here longer than you need to be. But yeah, so get everything together. As I said, in the ingredients list that I put out, I said plain flour. I realise flour is super short at the moment, so any kind of flour really. Bread flour is really good for this. I'm actually using pasta flour, 00 pasta flour, anything like that. Use that. Try not to use self-raising. I remember when I was a kid, the first time I ever made pasta with my old man, we made it with self-raising flour, and made it quite thick as well. We hadn't really mastered the sort of technique, and so it was already thick, and then when we boiled it, it kind of like expanded and was coming out of the pan, and I just remember as a kid thinking, flipping heck, this is like some monster like coming out of the pan, and you've got tentacles all over the place. So you don't want that. So try and avoid anything with any raisin agent in it, but any plain flour. I reckon you could probably even get away with wholemeal flour if you wanted to make like a wholemeal pasta. Just as it's all about using up what we've got here, eating something healthy, because if you're like me, and if you follow my pages, you'll see how much rubbish I've been eating over the Easter break, which I'm sure you all have too. So tonight we're going to have a nice fresh, healthy dish. Okay, so 2 minutes to the off, get your stuff together. I'll just boil the kettle because you're going to need that. You're going to need some hot water. This induction hob has been the bane of my life because it burns too hot for me, but today that's going to be a godsend, because you always want it, when you're doing a stir fry, you want things to be raging hot. So that's good. So hopefully my water will boil fairly quickly on there anyway. I'm going to go and grab that pan of water. If you do the same, get your kettle hot, try and get ahead of the game. We'll start in 2 minutes. Nice one. Okay, so there's a couple more people joining us. Thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate that. We're going to kick off in just 2 minutes for the 9:30 for the 4:30 starting point as agreed. So I don't get ahead of myself before everybody's here who's wanting to take part. Hope you're all pieces ready now. I'm itching to go. That I've learned to do. Like very recently, to be honest, I just decided I wanted to make noodles, and Google is your friend. So, you know, I'm not teaching you anything that's groundbreaking or, you know, that I've thought up myself. But it's just showing that anybody can sort of use the internet and make something. And these are really worth making. That's why I'm going to show you, because I was just so impressed with how tasty they were that I wanted to share that with you. So I hope you enjoy them. I think we're probably about ready to get started. So I am going to get going. So to make the noodles, then you need to take your 250 grams of flour, which hopefully you've pre-weighed out like myself, organised today. I'm going to take a pinch of salt in there. Okay, pinch of salt, and then you want a couple of eggs. Whisk them up before you put them into your mix. So I still haven't cracked the one hand egg cracker. You think I'm going to try and do it just because it's live and things bugger up. Oh, what a mess! There we go. You can tell I'm not a trained chef, eh? Right, 2 eggs. Whip them up. Right, into your flour, and then I'm going to use the other end of the fork just to start working that egg into the flour. Now, the trick here, egg's quite sticky, and the trick is not to let this pasta get too wet. So you'll see, as I go, it's quite dry there, and you're literally going to need 40-50 mils of water into that, just enough to pull it together. And when you start to pull it together, so you see it's all clumped up there, I really know I'm not going to need a lot now. So as I always say, you can always add a bit more, but you can't take it out. So just a dribble of water in there, mix again, and as soon as the bigger clumps start to appear, I'm going to switch from my fork. I'm going to go for a tiny bit more. See, that's my consistency right now. Okay, hope you can all see that. Hopefully it's clear today. For those who've just joined, I'm finally allowed to use the YouTube app on my phone to go live. It took going over 1,000 subs a couple of weeks ago, and then they didn't hold up their end of the deal, and it took them ages, but we've got there. So tiny bit more of that. Hopefully that means that you have got a decent view now. So you'll still see there's bits of dry flour, and it's tempting at this point to add more, but don't. Because what we're going to do is start to use our hands now and just start to bring it all together, and you'll feel as you lightly knead it, try and do it on an angle, You can see what's going on. As you're kneading it, you'll see that you'll feel in your fingers that some of it's stickier and then you've still got the dry bits. So just keep working it until all that dry flour is incorporated in. It's not like making bread dough where you want it to be almost as wet as possible, bread dough, while it's workable. This needs to be a bit firmer. So we're just going to keep working that dough. See, it's starting to get still bits of dry flour there. We're going to wait until all of that is incorporated into the rest of the dough. Just keep working it around there. Alright. Okay, that's feeling good. And it's nice and stiff. You don't want this to be too wet. Still soaking up those last crumbs, but this is feeling really workable now. So I'm going to try and get every last bit out of this bowl. That's it. Excellent. Now it'll feel a little bit grainy. So what we need to do now, I'm hoping that kneading this on this board is going to be alright. You shouldn't really be kneading on wood, but I'm just going to work that dough now until the grains start to disappear and it starts to feel smooth. The kneading is so important with pasta, with noodles. You know, this part of the process, don't skimp it. Often when I'm working with young people in particular, not to single anybody out, but when we're making bread dough, that's about as much kneading as they want to do. You've got to put your back into it. You've got to take that time to get the dough nice and smooth. So just going to keep working that. It's not sticking to the board. It's not sticking to my hands because it's nice and stiff. So just going to keep working it. Whoops. On the surface. If it is too wet, then obviously just dust your surface with a little bit of flour. But this, as you'll see, I put nothing down whatsoever, is working just fine. So just going to use the palm of your hand just to roll. It's borderline. This is a tiny bit sticky. I'm going to use a little bit of this corn flour just to stop us losing it on the board. I think your hands have a little bit to answer for in this as well. Definitely don't want any more than that though. So I'm just going to keep working that pasta, or noodles. It's pretty much the same thing. Egg noodles is pasta. Just going to keep working that, working it. And it's starting to feel smoother now. So keep working it and working it. It's a little bit of time. It's so worth it. Now, this is probably going to be enough for 4 people. I've not got 4 people here, so I'm going to save half of it, but I'll probably make all of the noodles up, and then you can just freeze them. I've made a batch the other week and basically used half, the other half I just wrapped lightly in cling film and put them in the freezer, and then you cook them from frozen. So just drop them into a boiling hot pan. Don't mess around with them for too long, like for straight away. Let them sit in the hot water for a couple of minutes, and the water will do the work, and then eventually they'll just tease out, and it'll just be almost like when you cook a packet of egg noodles and they're in a block. It just sort of separates itself, and they were just as good as when they were made fresh. So you can have some made up, and you can double up your recipe and make more of this when you are out making noodles. You'll see the next process after this is also a little bit time consuming, so you might not want to make tons at a time, but I think you'll agree at the end of it, the actual noodles themselves are just awesome. So that is feeling about smooth enough now, I would say. It's just getting sticky again, which is great. I haven't used too much corn flour, but that's just meant that we've kept being able to really work. I'm really putting my back into it. I can actually feel it. Did a little workout in the garage earlier. My arms are hurting already. This is a bit extra. I'm sliding around all over the place. Hopefully you've got a nice kitchen surface to do this on. You're not trying to do it in your dining room. That sounds like there's someone texting me. That's something I feared while I'm live on my phone, but there we go. Hopefully you're still with us. All right, so there's your noodle dough. Next thing, as I said earlier, if you've only just tuned in, you will have missed this, The important thing is now you need to rest this for probably half an hour in the fridge. I haven't got half an hour, so I'm not going to leave you for that long. So what I'm going to do is chuck it in the freezer. I don't know how that'll work out. Never done it before, but I'm trying to sort of turbocharge things so you guys aren't waiting around for too long. So I'm going to wrap that, drop it in the freezer, wash my hands, and I'm back with you in 30 seconds. Okay, right, so something you can do whilst, I'm just going to these bits off there, something you can do whilst you're waiting is get all your other stir fry bits ready. You know, the one thing when you're making a stir fry is it's fast, it's bang, 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 things going in the pan. So you need to have everything prepped. So I'm going to start with this meat. Now, again, if you only just joined us sort of when we started, talk through, so this is a piece of skirt steak. Now this is basically traditionally what went into your Cornish pan. Look at all that on my hands, I haven't washed them properly at all. 1 second. Let's get a towel. It's only a bit of dough, don't worry. But get the dough off my hands. Right, that's better. So anyway, this is traditionally what was used in the Cornish pasty. If you ask your butcher for it, it's basically used as stewing steak a lot of the time. But the great thing about it is, if you cook it right, it's absolutely delicious as steak. It's super lean. You'll see there's virtually no fat in that. That is just like a membrane on the outside, which I'll take off in a minute. But there's hardly any fat running through this, which means it has to be cooked medium. You have to cook it quite quickly, otherwise it becomes quite tough. But more importantly, it's about how it's sliced as well. So you'll see, hopefully, that there's a grain running all the way along that way. Now, that grain is what we need to slice against. Now, I'm going to just take my knife here. So this is in a big long section. So first of all, I'm going to cut it into the length of the pieces of beef that I actually want to be eating. So into maybe 4 or 5 pieces, like that. So that's only the length. This isn't the size of the beef that's going to go in. So you've got your 5 pieces of beef there. And then what we're going to do is look where the grain's running that way. So I'm going to slice against the grain as thinly as I possibly can, because this is going to be stir fried, it's going to be cooked fast. So I'm talking like 1/2 centimetre thick little slithers all the way across the grain, like this. And I'm going to put them into a bowl and I'm going to work through all of that beef, and then I'll marinate it in a few bits. So I'm just going to keep going with that. That's that there. So again, grain is running that way, so we're going to slice that way. I'm not sure how much you can see where you are, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. We're just going to keep slicing nice thin bits. When you get those little sort of wafers of beef in your stir fry from the Chinese, this is what you're getting a lot of the time, because it's about the cheapest cut. Although over in Asia this is much more sought after than it is here, and the price is higher. So get on it, speak to your butchers. It's a good excuse to go to your butchers. Getting cuts of meat like this from your butcher is one of the privileges you have of, well, not privileges, but one of the good things about using a butcher. You know, you can get the stuff that ain't going to be out on the supermarket shelves. It's just not. I mean, I think I've seen skirt at Morrison's once or twice, but nowhere else. And they've got a pretty good in-house butcher generally. But go and see your local butcher. This one's from Morgan's, and they look after me. And I've always got a bit of skirt in the freezer. That's not a euphemism. Again, along the grain, just going to work through the last bits of this beef. On high protein at the moment, plenty of the meat. Okay, keep going. Nice little slithers. And the last bit So that, the grain, it kind of can move a little bit. So the grain you'll see now is kind of diagonal on that bit. So I'm going to slice kind of diagonal. As long as you cut across those lines and break them up, because what you'll see, if I can show you this on the camera, where I've sliced against the grain, now you've got almost little nuggets of beef that are held together by whatever it is, but that means that that will fall apart in your mouth really, really easy. Okay, last little bit of this. If you guys are doing chicken, or if you're doing prawns or whatever, you know, doing chicken breast, just get it all sliced up. Again, get it nice, sliced up nice and thin. Okay, so now I'm just going to wash my hands because I've been touching raw beef. Give me a second. Okay, so beef in there. Going to hit that with some sesame oil. Amazing flavour, and it's also going to lubricate the meat as well for when it goes in that pan. I'm going to hit it with, this is in here, I've pre-ground some SHROPSHIRE pepper and some black peppercorns. They're going to go in. We're going to go with some salt. And I've also got some sesame seeds as well, for extra sesame flavour. And I'm just going to just mix that up real quick. And then let it sit there. You'll notice that that beef was sat out on the side. I didn't just pull it straight out of the fridge. You always want to try and bring your beef up to room temperature. Yeah, don't do it with chicken or pork really, but you know, you cause yourself some problems if it, you know, with food poisoning. But get a steak, you're gonna have a steak, get it out of the fridge an hour before you're gonna eat it, and just bring it up, and it will just mean it's a little bit more supple and just cooks a little bit nicer, just generally a bit better. Okay, so beef marinated. So now it's just a case of getting all the veggies together. So I'm going to move that off and that knife and bring up my green board to prep some veg. Okay, so we can start with some carrot now. Again, as I've said before, with stir fries, it's about cooking things quickly, and so everything needs to be sliced quite thinly. So with the carrot, I'm just going to go like 1.5 mil thick and across on the diagonal. That's kind of how I like my carrots in a stir fry. If you did the fried rice the other week, it's exactly the same thing. So I'm going to go long ways first into sort of like ovals, and then, especially with noodles, it's kind of nice if everything is long and like a little bit noodle-like as well. And then when you scoop it up with your chopsticks or your fork, you kind of get little slithers of everything else too. So do that with the carrot, and then you just grab a section that you've already sliced, keep them together. You can kind of just go across as well. So then you've got your slithers of carrot. Okay, so I'm just going to put those to one side and work through them all. So try and grab 3 or 4 pieces at a time, just to save you time. So that's the carrot. I love carrot in a stir fry as well. Something we've always got. People often don't think to put it in, but I love it. It's just got good texture, good crunch. You want your stir fry to be nice and crunchy. That's why we cook it so hot and fast. So we're going to go with that. In fact, you know what? These are going to have to stay on this board because I'm going to need the board underneath to make them roll out the noodles. Good thinking, Adam. So I'm going to try and pile everything up on this board so I can just grab it and smash it straight into the pan when I need it. Last bit of carrot there. Into ribbons. Sack that bit off. Carrot's done. Then we're going to go, got a couple of lovely mushrooms here. Just going to go straight across those into, again, into same kind of shape. you want to know you've got mushrooms in there, so don't chop them up too small. Excuse me, because you'll find that they just disappear. You know, in a stir fry, they cook that hot and fast. By the time, if you cut them up really small, you ain't gonna notice them in there. So mushrooms cut into nice pieces. Then we've got some purple sprouting broccoli here, which is bang in season at the moment. It's absolutely delicious stuff. But the good thing about this in the stir fry is the stalks, again, give really good crunch. So I'm just going to take off like a centimetre where they were sliced, where they were picked, sorry. And then what I'm going to do is I kind of take the length of the purple sprouting and I bend it with my hand ever so slightly, put the knife on the top, so you kind of slicing through every bit, but you end up with 3 little lengthy sections. Okay, so this is a whole, but you can do this more quickly, so just sort of slicing it long ways though. Don't cut the florets off, because you want to have, with every bit, it's alright to even have like big chunks like that. If you want to chop that up again, we're just trying to get that kind of ribbon effect with everything. Lengthways slicing. Everyone likes a bit of length. Right, let's chop those up. No. Hopefully you can see what's going on. So purple sprouting is done. Try and move everything to the back so you can see what's going on at the front. Okay, we've got leek. Now stir fries often have spring onions. I haven't been shopping for over a week now and my spring onions are long gone and they would be rough by now anyway. The leeks will sit in the fridge for a week or two easy. So I'm just going to take off the old bit there, and to be honest with you, you don't really want the green of a leek in a stir fry because that is the rougher, sort of tougher part. The white bit is much more tender, so I'm going to take the root bit off, slice in half. Always important really with leeks just to wash inside them, so I'm going to give that a quick swill. Okay, and then flat side down, and just going to slice at an angle so we end up with some ribbons of leek as well. Okay, like that. So they're nice little ribbons. I need the other half, but I'll go for it anyway. It's always what I find with stir fries. I pull out loads of vegetables, and as you start to slice them and the board fills up, you think, oh, Christ, I don't need this much. That's going to be enough. Chuck that bit to one side. I'll chuck it in a stock pot or something later. So that's the leeks done. I'm going to go for some onion as well. I'm just going to use half an onion again. Don't need that much. So top and bottom off the onion, and then slice what would have been lengthways. So again, those sections just fall into kind of like ribbons. Ooh, nearly sliced my finger off on YouTube then. Okay, let's try to do it on this corner. So they all fall into sections as well, lovely. And then we need some chilli. I always like to use, I think that's somebody ringing me. If it is, I'm going to cut them off. Right, got rid of them. My bad. Okay, I always go straight across section for my chilli, because it looks good, and again you get like a nice hit of chilli every now and then. So we're going to go across into those sections there. Okay, so that's the chilli done, and then finally the only last bit of prep we need to do here is a bit of garlic. Gotta have garlic. So I'm going to go for 2 cloves of garlic. You just crush that to get the paper off. So side of the knife, crush it, Paper comes off, dead easy. And again. And then just going to slide the knife across it again and just cut it into little discs. So you kind of get a nice little hit of garlic. So it doesn't have to be chopped super fine for a stir fry. It's going to be in there not for very long at all in the pan. Okay, and then we have all of our veggies chopped. We'll put that to one side, out of the way. And then we're going to clear down, and I'm going to attempt to get these noodles out. Now, as I say, they should have rested for longer, really. So I would recommend that you guys do. Needs at least half an hour in the fridge, an hour if possible. Right, I'm going to grab mine, see how we get on. Okay, so I said this will make enough for 4 people, but even if you're making it for 4 people, I would suggest that you cut that in half and do this in 2 halves, because you'll see by the time I've rolled it out, when I've got my rolling pin, you'll see that you don't necessarily, well, it's going to be hard to work all that dough in one go. It's definitely a job for 2 halves, and you're also going to want to use your corn flour at this stage. So pop that onto there. The corn flour is going to make this nice and easy to work. Okay, so half of the dough, the other half can be used either for your lasagna sheets if you're going to make a little lasagna for 2, or if you're going to do this again after this process has happened the first time, then you can do. I'm aiming for a kind of like a, I'm going to go for an oblong shape, because that's going to make the bit after we've rolled it out even easier. So I'm going to start, as again, when you're trying to roll something round, if you start with something round, you're much more likely to end with something round. If you want something oblong, funnily enough, you start with something oblong, you're much more likely to end with something oblong. So I'm just going to start working this out now. So you notice I'm turning it quickly, get that out of the way, and that. Turning it and then turn it again, because if you keep rolling and you don't turn it, if it's starting to stick, you won't necessarily know. And then get to this point, you can almost reshape it. Pick it up, reshape it, turn it, and start again. We want to get this as thin as possible. So we're going to keep working it. There's bits of vegetables still on this board. And then as soon as it looks like it might need a little bit of help with a bit more flour, then go for it. Roll it that way. Nice, this is looking good. Reshape. It's nice and stretchy, it feels super soft. Quite happy with how this is feeling, considering it hasn't rested for very long. Lengthways. Again, now don't worry if it ends up looking like it's too long, because this isn't actually the way. That's not the length way. The noodles are going to end up that way. Anyway, so you'll be fine. Just keep working it and working it. You want to end up with something that's kind of like A3 maybe with this amount, maybe a little bit wider even. A3 paper, that is. I'm going to go that way, really start to stretch it. Okay. It's quite important that you try and keep it relatively rectangular. And that sometimes means putting a bit more pressure on in the spots where it's a bit thicker and working that where it's thicker back in to make it a bit more even. Working it like this. It's looking good. Really stretching it. This wooden board's not ideal. There we go. What we got. So it's a gorgeous wooden board, by the way, from Stitch Farm Studios. Nothing against the board, it's just not really meant for rolling out noodles on. Okay, so now we've got that kind of rectangular shape. I'm going to add at this stage a little bit more. I like just coating the flour. That's corn flour I'm using there. So this stuff you use to thicken your gravy, sauces. Okay, over. Go same again. Okay, now what we're going to do is going to take, in fact I'm going to try and do it backwards so you can see what's going to happen there. So I'm going to take it and lift it up to 2/3 the way across, fold over and then fold back again. So you've kind of got 3 layers going on there of noodle. And then all we're going to do, take a knife, try and do it at a good angle for you guys. Go there, and we're just going to chop as thin as you possibly can, all the way down. So you're just going to go all the way along. They want to be like a mil thick tops. And make sure your knife is going all the way through, because otherwise you're going to have noodles stuck together. Just keep working all the way down. A little bit time consuming, as I said earlier, but it's so worth it. So you don't need a pasta roller or anything like this. Noodles are generally a bit thicker than pasta anyway. So keep working that all the way down. You'll see there's making an awful lot of noodles all of a sudden, isn't it? Right, I was quite surprised just how many noodles you get out of that little ball of dough. First this. Okay, working all the way down. Probably do this a little quicker. I definitely don't want to chop my fingers off camera, so I'm trying to be steady. Okay, I'm going to set that last little bit off. Now the next bit, literally going to pick up each noodle and stretch. So literally, oops, that's falling apart, and just stretch them out. So it does take a little bit of time, but it's worth it. Give them a little stretch. You'll feel that they should be really elastic and they just really want to stretch. You can give them a spin if you want, like that. That stretches them out too. But it's good to get all of your noodles, give them one stretch once they come out of this kind of, oops, broken. You see what the idea is, you just get them stretched out, stretched, and work all the way along. This is a good little funny activity. And just put them into a bit of a pile as you go. I'm conscious that my head may be being chopped off camera here, so I'm going to stand up because my back's going to go otherwise. Just going to keep working through them. So if you're going to freeze them, I'd still do this bit, get all of this bit done, I'm doing now, and freeze them one there in a big sort of messy pile. In fact, while I remember, I'm going to put my heat on. And get that ready so they can be boiled. Because after that, we're going to be flying. They're really starting to stretch now. These ones in the middle of the sections. Whoops. Doesn't matter if a few of them break, but generally they should just stretch. Doesn't take that long. I'm about a third of the way through now. It's fun anyway. I think it's fun. It's exciting and it's satisfying to do things like this. Who makes noodles themselves? I know I didn't until a couple of weeks ago, but it's something I'll definitely be doing again. Keep going. Stretching, stretching, stretching. Oops. Sometimes you'll find that they haven't quite come apart. 2 if your knife hasn't gone all the way through, just help them along. The key is to have some corn flour though. Really makes a huge difference to the feel of everything. See, some of them are really stretching quite long. Maybe try and make sure you work the ends too. Sometimes if you just stretch the middle, you end up with like fat ends at the noodles and not so fat in the middle. Stretching. I tried to deep fry these because I like deep frying things. And they're quite as well. They kind of puff up like crispy noodles. You need to get your pan really, really hot there, and plenty of oil. No good for today when we're trying to be healthy, but something you might want to try. A nice little garnish. If you want to do like noodles two ways, you could kind of just finish your dish with some fried noodles that you made yourself on the top. That's a wicked little innovative trick. Make you look like you know what you're doing. I'm sure you do know what you're doing, of course. Going with those. You like your noodles as well. Working through that now. Big pile. Oops. Keep going. See, the good thing about not watching me live would be that you can skip through watching me do every one of these, but hey ho. We've got all day anyway, haven't we? We're on lockdown. It's quite nice. You can even know what time we're on. Oh, we're going 7. That's not too bad. My average time these live videos has been about 40 minutes with the 10 minutes at the beginning. So generally we're doing 30-minute meals here. This might be a little bit longer, but you know, it certainly wouldn't be if you pre-made these and they're in the freezer. We're talking about 50 minutes here, which is what everyone's always about these days, isn't it? Just speed, getting it done quickly. Okay. Nearly at the end of these nudes stretching now. Quite chopped through properly. I'll try and peel it apart. Do 4 at once. Who'd have thought of that? Doing 4 at once. See, if you're watching live and you're trying to keep up, you're probably a bit behind. Try and stretch 2 or 3 at a time. Experiment. I'm not even going to pretend that I've done this loads before. But there we go. Right, so noodles done. Then last little bit, so they just look like noodles. Just a bit more corn flour for this last bit, sprinkled on. And then, this is the bit I love, just kind of shake them up. Shake them up. Shake them up. Shake them up. And then you've got your own noodles. And they're basically ready. They take like 2-3 minutes boiling. So I'm going to do that. And as I do that, I'm going to drop these in. I'm going to give this a quick wipe down and then get ready to take them out. Just hit them with a little fry at the last minute. So I'm going to do that now. 1 sec. In fact, now what we're going to do, as he tries to move a boiling pan of water, I'm going to put that up here, and then hopefully you can see a bit better what's going on when we're cooking. So they're going to go into the pan now. Oops. Fresh. Don't do anything. Just leave them in the pan. Let them come up to boil. When they start to flap around and move themselves, then you can give them a little bit of a tease. I'm just going to get cloth, wash my hands, wipe down. These come back, and then we'll get on to moving that getting that stir fry done. The beauty of doing things live is got to clean up and you've got to watch, fortunately. Apologies for that. A lot of people who know me will be like, what, you're actually cleaning up? I'm not the tidiest chef in the world. So these are bubbling away lovely now. So I'm just going to probably just use the other end of the spoon just to give them a little tease. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. So they're just, where they were stuck together, they're just all becoming much, much looser now. Quite nice fat noodles actually, these. Right, so they're all now loose and cooking. That's great. They're really not going to take long at all. And then we're just going to strain them into a bowl. I'm going to have to do that in the kitchen. This thing just boils so hot. It's crazy. The water's almost going to boil over. I don't help it along. So you'll see these noodles now looking pretty good. Oops, starting to go rubbery. We'll try one. I'm confident they're almost there. 30 seconds more. Bearing in mind, they're going to get a second cook in the frying pan at the end. And I actually quite like them with a bit of bite, bit al dente. Remember, it's not like you from when they were dry. They were already quite soft when they went in here. So for me, they're done. So I'm going to take those off. And at the same time, I'm going to drop this pan on, get it nice and hot. Bit of oil in there. Tablespoon of oil or so. And I'm going to always put a little bit of sesame oil in there as well for flavour. Just going to drain these noodles off. There's a tiny bit of oil to stop them. There's no oil left in the one. You use some flour. Don't be afraid to leave a little bit of liquid in with them as well. That will help loosen them up. Okay, so they're really hot. They are sorted, ready to go into this pan. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to cook the beef. This beef doesn't need to be cooked for very long at all. So if we put this in with everything else, firstly, if you put everything else in at once, the heat of the pan is going to drop and it's going to take longer to cook. So cook my meat first, get it searing hot, take it out, let it rest, especially beef, it wants to rest. We'll cook everything else and then we'll add this at the last minute. So, beef's going in the pan. See that sizzle? That's what we want. Might get a bit of smoke here now. Got no extraction. Just keep everything moving. I'm going to give my bowl a quick swill because this is going to go back in there once I've fried it off. See that beef moving. Bowl heighting. It's really nice and hot now. Just what we want. Obviously, you know, cooking beef, you want to cook it hot anyway, particularly with the stir fry, to get everything done, in and out. And with this skirt, you really don't want to overcook it. So it's literally going to be in and out. Keep it moving all the time. It's going to be more like it's been poached than fried. You'll see, it's just still slightly pink. See how that just falls apart? So tender. Amazing. Right, so that is pretty much there. We're going to go out with that into the bowl. Okay. Then, veg time. This thing screaming hot now. You keep that fat in. Generating a bit of smoke, a bit of steam. Okay, so carrots going to go in. Okay, and I'm going to go for the leeks and the broccoli. First, get them moving. I'm going to leave the garlic at this stage. There's not a huge amount of oil in there. I don't want it to burn or it gets bitter. This isn't the ideal situation. I hate induction hot, but it's what I've got, unfortunately, on gas. I'd much prefer to be working because it seems that the heat is right in the middle of the pan. rather than, if you look at when the Chinese use a wok, it's kind of, the heat will come right up the side of it, and the whole, you'll be cooking on the edges of the wok, whereas with this induction stuff, it always comes just from underneath and doesn't seem to travel anywhere near the same as whatever we got here. So, I'm going to let that keep going a little bit longer. Hopefully you don't need to add any more oil. What you can do at this stage, just to loosen things up, I'm going to go for a little bit of soy. You can add more afterwards, the noodles go in, so not too much. And a little bit of fish sauce as well. So we're going to go for the Vietnamese vibes. Everything else. So now those veggies are cooking now nicely. They've almost, well, they're starting to really garlic, chili, onion, and the mushrooms. Oh, I almost forgot. Really, an indication when this is ready is when the mushrooms start to look cooked. I'm not really a fan of raw mushrooms. A lot of people are, not so much myself. There we go, that's all working down now. Just keep everything moving all the time. And then those mushrooms are starting to wilt, starting to get darker, which is exactly what we want. It's a mega hot pan. It sort of smells weird when you put it in, but it gives such a good flavour. Amazing. So we're going to go keep that moving there, and then it's going to be in with the beef. So you'll see how much vegetables were there, filling that tray, and now they're reducing down. So we want it to still be crunchy, you don't want the vegetables to be slop. So we're going to go in with the beef, which is more liquid in the bottom of there now. Which is going to help this along, just starting to steam a little bit and just become a little bit more. We're going to soak some of that up. So just the new little teasers go in, they'll fall apart. And then just folding everything together. Fold it, fold it, fold it. Okay. And just try to work everything into those noodles. They are hardly seasoned, so a bit more soy. And a little bit more fish sauce. Get rid of that. I'm going to grab me some tongs. I find that's the easiest way to serve noodles. The pans will sit hot for a few minutes, so if you are using like a cast iron pan or something rather than a proper wok like me, then it's a good idea to turn it off before you think it's completely done, because that heat is going to continue to cook. Yeah, and if you're taking that pan to the table, if it's cooked there, it's going to be overcooked by the time it hits the table. Okay? So, grab me some tongs. Grab me a plate. And basically, you're always going to get noodles come first. So, load noodles. And then just try and make sure you serve a bit of everything. It's very easy to just end up with a big plate of noodles and you've left all your meat and everything else behind. So you probably need a spoon in the end when you've got through the noodles to get all the other bits. But they are coming along lovely. So it's a nice old pile of noodles there. A little bit on the top and a bit more broccoli. Oops. And then in with some mint, believe it or not. It works so well with the fish sauce and everything else. And not necessarily something you think of on a stir fry. Beef, it's sort of esque of a pho, which is a Vietnamese breakfast dish, which is noodles and beef, and you serve with lots of fresh herbs at the end, always mint, and that's it. Happy days. So homemade noodles with stir fry, Vietnamese flavours, cashews, a bit of mint on the top, and we're done. That easy. So thanks very much for watching. On Friday, excuse me. On Friday, we're going to make it in lasagna, and so what you just learned there with the noodles is a real that struggles a real one for you. Then make and they're much better fresh. So get that done. I had my own version of lasagna, a few little twists in there. I'll drop a picture of this onto my Instagram, onto Facebook later on, and the ingredients list will be for the lasagna will be on that. Thanks very much. I hope you're enjoying this. If you've got any suggestions for how I can take it forward, make it more interesting while we're in lockdown, anything you request that I want to make, that you want me to make, then let me know, and I'll do my best to oblige. Thanks very much for listening, guys. I'll see you on Friday.